Hello, good afternoon. My name is Sam Obafemi. This afternoon, I want to share about the topic, how do you treat depression? Someone asked me this morning, how do you treat depression? I was building content for a new curriculum for a client who is starting a formal course in handling abuse and depressions and rape and all the works. So in building that curriculum for this client, she asked me, but how do you treat depression? What's your method of treating depression? And it just, it was like a light bulb going off my head to talk about this topic. How do you treat depression? Before I talk about the steps to treating depression, I'd like to share with you some fundamental information that governs this subject. Number one, everybody can be a patient of depression. Everybody, every living human being can undergo depression. None of us has immunity from entering depression. I have been depressed before. I have seen therapists, counselors who have entered depression. I've seen pastors, men of God who have gone into depression. I've seen medical practitioners who have gone into depression. So I need you to understand that nobody is immune from entering depression. And in the next few minutes, you would understand why I said so. Number two, anyone who goes into depression is not the same as any other person who goes into depression. There are completely unique reasons why people enter into depression. Completely unique reasons. So do not see depression as one thing. Depression is not one thing. Depression is unique to the person undergoing that period and phase. So like I said, first, everybody has a potential and is vulnerable to being depressed at a time in their life. Number two, one form of depression is not the same as another person's form of depression. You need to understand that we're completely unique in our experiences of depression. Number three, every depressed person needs to be accepted, accommodated, and helped. Many times, a sign of depression is isolation, staying away, wanting to be on your own, not wanting to cooperate, losing interest in a lot of things. These are several perspectives that happen with depression. So if you notice someone is staying alone, if you notice someone is staying away, if you notice someone who used to be vibrant on social media suddenly is not active on social media, if you notice someone who normally talks and laughs a lot suddenly becomes quieter, there are different ways to detect that someone is not themselves. If you're listening enough, you would identify such people. When you find such people, please communicate, stay around them, be with them, encourage them, speak to them, speak with them, ask questions, push, poke, probe. Don't judge, don't question unnecessarily, don't provoke. Do your best to try to know what is going on. Observe patterns. Even if they are not talking, observe what they are not saying. And by your listening capacities, you will get to know more about what they are going through. So you need to help those who go into depression. These are just fundamental information that I thought you should know. Then another information you should know, not all depression is clinical. Not every depression requires medical attention or drugs. Depression can also just be behavioral, can just be overwhelmed, can just be tiredness, can be fatigue overwhelmed, can be betrayal overwhelmed, can be anything. It may not necessarily mean the person has to undergo drugs or undertake drugs or undergo medical intervention. So not all depressions go in that direction. I thought I should share those perspectives. Now, what is depression? Depression can be defined in different ways, but I'm going to just share what I think it is and what my experience has been. Depression is a period, is a phase, is an experience, is a tunnel that people go through when they are overwhelmed with the capacities to withstand life. I see depression as that moment where you are vulnerable. I see depression as that moment where your strength has failed you or is failing you. I see depression as that period when all you believe in seem to be negated. You seem to lose taste. You seem to not have what it takes to be able to stand and withstand the experiences you're going through. So depression can be gray. It's not black or white. To one person, depression can just be staying away. To another person, depression can be indulging. To another person, depression can... So the symptoms of depression can vary from persons to persons. But one universal thing is that such a person is throwing in the towel. Such a person is tired. Such a person is overwhelmed. Such a person does not know what to do about where they are at that material time of their lives. That can be a major sign of depression. What are the symptoms you see when a person is depressed? A person may be silent extensively, or a person may be talkative extensively. A person may go into drinking extensively, or who used to drink withdraws from drinking. The person may be too involved in sexual activities, or even become less involved or even withdrawn, doesn't have appetite for sex. The person may be spendthrift suddenly, or suddenly does not want to spend anymore. So there are two extremes. You're either doing more of what you used to do, or you stopped doing what you used to do. Those are two extremes that can give you an idea that someone may be depressed. Now, so how do you treat depression? Depression is triggered by many factors. There is no single solution to depression because there is no single trigger for depression. Depression is largely caused by shift in pillars. The only reason why depression can happen to a person is that what you held onto as pillars of your faith, or pillars of your value system, or pillars of your strength, or symbols of your motivation, or symbols of your enthusiasm, once those pillars or that pillar shifts, you would dip into depression. That is largely the overall cause of depression. So some people, our spouses are our inspiration. And when the spouse dies, you go into depression. Some people, we have waited to have a child for so long, and then when that child is born, you hear postpartum depression because the overwhelmed, that's finally happened. So what was it all about in the first place? That anticlimax can plunge you into depression. You have a property or a business and it collapses, it can plunge you into depression. You have a fantastic intimate relationship and unfortunately it breaks or cracks, you plunge into depression. So usually when there is something you hold on to very dear, very strong, very, very articulate, very powerful, very reliable, and there is a shift in it, you go into depression. So when we lose a parent who we think is our pillar, we can go into depression. When you used to see yourself as successful, and unfortunately the economy or issues go wrong and you plunge or you go less than what you thought was your success level, you could go into depression. Or you have expectations your child needs to fly and then your child is not performing, you could go into depression. So depression is largely the opposite of strength. Depression is largely the opposite of having a pillar. Depression is largely the opposite of optimism. So when you are not optimistic about the realities on ground, you can become depressed or you can be vulnerable to being depressed. The antidote to depression is persistent optimism. The only reason why you may not go into depression is that your optimism is sustained. Because outside, in the absence of optimism, depression is knocking on your door. So there is no one solution to depression, but you need to check out what is the trigger for this depression. If my trigger is a relationship, what need I do about it? If my trigger is my business, my collapsed business, what should I do about it? If my trigger is an economic factor, what should I do about it? If my trigger is the loss of a loved one, what can I do about it? If my trigger is a personal failure, what should I do about it? Because all these triggers will lead to different forms of depression. And the more severe the trigger, the higher the tendency for a deeper depression that can get you really, really broken. So I share this video to make you understand depression is real. Depression can lead to death. Depression raises the chances that you will become suicidal. Now let me tell you, in the year 2030, it is reported that in 2030, depression will be It is said that in 2030, depression will be the highest world killer. So, it means that 12 years from now, if these patterns are unchecked, one of the biggest killers will be depression. Don't forget, everybody is susceptible to being depressed. But please don't be a victim of sustained depression. There are times when depression is a good thing. Depression, especially when it's brief and mild, can be a moment of reflection, a moment of introspection, and a moment of understanding what I need to do differently. If it is brief and mild, it can become a stepping stone. But if it is prolonged and sustained, it can become a vice, can become a tunnel towards suicide. So I'd like to remind you that you are depressed is not the problem, but that you have stayed depressed may be the problem. If you'd like me to help you, or if you like any of our coaches, our team to help you, I appeal to you, please reach out to us on 0807 361 0884. Reach out to us on 0807 361 0884, or go to our website sopcaonline.com and you will get resources that can help you. If you're on social media, please follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Sopca Online. We are available to help you. All we do in Sopca is to sell serenity, and the method that we use to do so is by listening to you. We listen to you. Please don't forget to share this video. If you love the people in your life, please share this video. I appreciate you. God bless you.